Let me tell you about a night that never ended for one woman. Her name was Clara. Clara worked as a night nurse at Montana State Hospital. They didn't call her a Ravenna charity here in America, but the job was the same, pulling the heavy medicine cart through dark, lonely hallways while the rest of the world slept. Clara didn't usually volunteer for extra shifts, but one night, her floor was unusually quiet. Too quiet. That night, she was called to duty for three strange reasons. First, a patient's call bell kept ringing. Second, a confused voice whispered over the intercom, "What does she want? What does that shadow in the corner of my room mean?" And third, when Clara looked up from the nurse's station, she saw a figure standing in the far corner of the hallway. Just standing, staring, not moving. Clara sat at the station with only one ward boy named Mike for company. No other nurses were on duty. The stress was already heavy on her shoulders. She turned to Mike and said, "Listen, if that patient calls again, don't just answer the bell. Call me directly. I'll come running." Mike nodded and said, "Do it. It's done." Clara thought nothing of it at first. The patient that night was an elderly woman named Margaret. Margaret was usually sweet, but that night she kept talking in circles. "Nurses keep coming into my room," Margaret said. "Maybe they're dreaming." Clara smiled and said, "Yes, yes," and patted her hand. But then Clara needed to use the bathroom. She asked Mike to watch the desk. "I'll be right at the nurse's station," she said. "Any problem? Just call me." She walked to the staff bathroom down the hall. She checked inside, empty. She used the restroom quickly, but when she came out, she felt a cold draft. The hallway lights flickered, and then she heard it, a soft whisper, like someone breathing right next to her ear. "Do it, it's done." Clara spun around. No one was there. She hurried back to the station, her heart pounding. "Mike, did you hear that?" Mike looked confused. "Hear what? There's no one here." A few hours later, Clara went back to check on Margaret. The old woman was sleeping peacefully, but the bathroom door in Margaret's room was slightly open. Clara pushed it gently, and then she screamed. Lying on the bathroom floor was a body, a woman in a nurse's uniform, face down, cold, and clearly dead. It wasn't Margaret. It wasn't any patient. It was a staff nurse. The police came. The investigation ruled it suicide. The nurse's name was Diana. She had worked the night shift alone for 11 years. Overwork, exhaustion, and unbearable stress had pushed her to take her own life, right there in that bathroom. And here was the worst part, a J. Diana had died 3 months ago. 3 months. And no one had told the new night staff. 3 months after that terrible night, Clara's duty schedule put her back on the same unit. Same floor. Same room. Room number 4. But this time, the patient was different. A 60-year-old retired carpenter named Frank. Frank was gentle, kind, and loved to give hand massages to the younger nurses. He was harmless. That night, the clock ticked to 3 a.m. Dead silence. Not a sound from the hallway. And then, BZZZZ, the call bell for room number 4 rang. Clara walked slowly to Frank's room. He was sitting upright in bed, his face pale as milk. His hands were shaking. "Clara," he whispered, "who is that woman outside my room? She keeps walking back and forth. She stands at the corner and stares at me. What does she want?" Clara's blood ran cold. She looked down the hallway. Empty. She looked at Frank. He wasn't lying. She could see real fear in his eyes. She sat on the edge of his bed and said softly, "Frank, I don't know why, but tonight, you're not the first person who has seen her." Frank grabbed her wrist. "Then who is she?" Clara didn't answer. She walked back to the station and pulled open an old filing cabinet. Buried under years of paperwork, she found a yellowed folder. On it was written, "Diana Reynolds, nurse, employed 1979, deceased." She opened it. The file read, Diana Reynolds worked night shift exclusively for 11 years. Colleagues described her as dedicated, quiet, and always tired. On the night of March 17th, she locked herself in the bathroom of room number 4 and took her own life. Cause: severe workplace stress, chronic overwork, and social isolation. No family notified. No memorial held. Clara closed the folder. Her hands were trembling. She realized then Diana wasn't a monster. She wasn't an evil ghost. She was just a woman who had been forgotten. And now, her spirit still walked those hallways, still pressed call bells, still stood in corners, still whispered, "Do it. It's done," not out of anger, but out of a desperate need to be seen, to be remembered. Jay, here's the truth of this story. It's not really about ghosts. It's about what happens when a system breaks a person and then simply erases them. Diana had given 11 years of her life to that hospital. 11 years of night shifts, of missed holidays, of exhaustion so deep it became a second skin. And when she finally broke, no one came. No one said her name at a memorial. No one told the new nurses. She simply disappeared. But the human heart, even after death, wants one thing: to be acknowledged. And so Diana walks, not to frighten, but to whisper, "I was here. I worked. I suffered. And no one saw me." So the next time you hear a call bell in the middle of the night, a J, whether in a hospital or in your own life, from a friend who is struggling, a colleague who is burning out, a family member who has stopped asking for help, answer it. Not because you have to, but because someone on the other end might still be waiting to be seen. Do it. It's done. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, don't forget to comment and subscribe. History is full of forgotten heroes. Let's not add any more names to that list.